Hey guys, welcome back. Today I've got a little bit of a rant video for you. It's all on foundation. Before I begin though, I wanted to remind you that you should sign up for my email list because in addition to making YouTube videos, I blog. I usually write about 5 to 6 blog posts a week. So if you sign up for my email list, you get an email once a day with whatever I've done for that day, whether it's a blog post or a video. And I usually will include like giveaway information and tips and stuff like that. So you should sign up. So this is really a how I wish brands would make foundation video because I feel like I have wasted so much money on foundation over the years trying to find the perfect foundations, and there's almost always something wrong with them. Anyway, I realized there are about 8 different things that brands could do that would make it all better. The number one thing that brands could do is have at least 2 different types of foundations. Have a foundation for normal to oily skin and one for normal to dry skin. You have 2 basic skin types that really need to be addressed. You have people who are dry like me, or people who are oily, which is how I used to be until I went on my rosacea medication. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I used to think that I needed a full coverage foundation to hide my rosacea or I wouldn't be happy. But what I've come to realize over like the past 6 months or so is that I can use a sheer foundation if it's 1, a good match for my skin tone, 2, if it's hydrating. That's really what seems to matter to my skin type. It's just unfortunate that there are very few hydrating foundations that are actually a good match for my skin tone. And while yes, I can mix a white mixer into any foundation to make it a better match for my skin tone, you know, sometimes it gets frustrating having to mix my foundation every single day. So that's why I really appreciate when I find a foundation that's a good match for my skin tone that I don't have to mix, that's actually moisturizing enough for my face. So far, there is one product that I don't have to mix at all that's a perfect match for my face, that is hydrating, that I love, and that's the Idun Minerals foundation. I'll put a link so you can check out my review of that foundation because I love it. So the number 2 thing that I wish brands would do is be consistent with like their nomenclature for naming, as well as like the shades. So for example, if you're 0.5 in like their sheer foundation, it'd be nice to also be 0.5 in say their medium coverage foundation. And I've noticed with some brands that's just not the case, that there's a discrepancy between the shades. So even if you're 0.5 in one, you may not be 0.5 in the other. I would also like it if the names were not just always like food or pottery or anything like that. I don't really care if a brand uses cat names like Meow or if they use numbers like Urban Decay. I just want it to be consistent. The number 3 thing that I wish brands would do when they make a foundation range is to have helpful shade descriptions. So it is not helpful to me for them to have the name be something like Cool Bisque and not have any shade description. That's absolutely useless in my opinion. Descriptions that I find useful would be very fair with warm undertone, very fair with cool undertone, very fair with neutral undertone, very fair with olive undertone. Stuff like that is so much more useful than light bisque, light ivory, cocoa. And on that note, I think foundations should have 4 different undertones. You should have your cool, your warm, your neutral, and your olive. Because I feel like, especially if you're olive, it's so hard to find foundations and nobody seems to acknowledge that. A lot of people seem to think that you can either get away with cool or warm. And that's really not the way it works. I do at least think that it's a little bit better whenever you see lines that gear their foundations more towards being sheer and neutral, because sheer and neutral seems to work with a wider variety of skin tones, but it's not perfect for everyone. Number 4, and this is more just a general gripe, I really wish that people would not be so obsessed with the MAC numbering system. The MAC numbering system is not perfect. It is not the be-all end-all of makeup. And in fact, it's funny because I interviewed Vic Casale, the guy who was the person who developed the numbering system for MAC. He also developed the numbering system for Cover FX. And he's like, yeah, when I went to Cover FX, I had the chance to remake it correctly because he feels like the NW and NC is too confusing for people, which I agree. So the way Cover FX does it is they have N for neutral, P for cool, and G for warm. That's far less confusing than NW and NC. So I wish people would get over their obsession with it. Number 5, when brands are making concealers to go along with their foundation lines, please, for the love of God, do not make your lightest concealer darker than your lightest foundation. What do you expect your lightest foundation wearer to do for concealer if you do not have a concealer that is lighter than that foundation? They're not going to be able to wear your concealer. It's just crazy. I'm looking at you, Too Faced. You did this with your Born This Way foundation line. Your lightest concealer is darker than your lightest foundation, Snow. Makes no sense. Number 6, brands that need to acknowledge all global shades of beauty. What do I mean by that? I mean that people are not just 50 shades of beige. I mean that you have people that are fair-skinned, you have people who are very deep-skinned. You need to offer foundations for all of the range of skin tones. It is 217. In 217, we should not have people who are at the deeper end of the spectrum unable to buy a foundation from a brand because it doesn't exist. I have heard all different reasons from brands as to why they don't offer deep foundation shades. Some stuff is really crazy. It's like, well, women of color don't buy our foundation. No, that's not true. I know many women who do. Women of color don't buy from our brand. Well, that's kind of like a chicken and egg problem. Women of color may not buy from your brand if you don't offer a foundation shade that they can buy. If there's not even an effort to include them, that's bad. And one of the other things I've heard is that, well, it's too hard to make foundations for deeper skin tones, they always go ashy. That sounds like you need a better product development person. Anyway, whatever the excuse is, I think it's ridiculous because there are so many brands who are doing it right. If you look at Cover FX, they offer from shade N0 to like N120. That is a wide range of foundations. I think they have, I want to say they have over 40 different foundation shades in some of their lines, so they really are making an effort to be inclusive for all global shades of beauty. I think they're doing a great job. Kat Von D is doing a great job. Urban Decay is doing a pretty good job too. So those are just 3 brands, but they're all making an effort to make foundations for deeper skin tones as well as, you know, lighter skin tones. So they're covering it all. So other brands who aren't even making an effort, you have no excuse. It's 2017. Get with the picture. People are not just beige. Number 7, if you are going to make a primer to go with your foundation, make sure that they actually match. So if you have a silicone-based foundation, make sure that your primer is a silicone-based primer. Don't have a water-based primer that may or may not work with your silicone-based foundation. I have a video that actually explains how to find out if your foundation and your primer are compatible. I know some people don't believe in using primers at all. Other people swear by them, especially if you have oily skin. So make sure you check out that video. And number 8, please stop putting fragrance in your foundation. Please stop this. Fragrance is the #1 reason that I break out. It's the number one reason that a lot of people break out from a product. Stop adding fragrance to foundation and to your skincare. It shouldn't be there either. It's not good for sensitive skin. It's not good for people who have any sort of skin issues. It causes them to break out. So just stop it. It's not good. Don't do it. I hope you enjoyed this rant video about foundations. I just had a lot that I needed to get off of my chest. It's been driving me crazy because I look through my foundation drawer and I'm like, how the hell can I have, you know, 2, maybe 3 foundations I can wear? How is this possible? With all of the money that I've spent on foundations, how is this possible? So yeah. Anyway, what are your gripes about foundations? What do you wish brands would do when it comes to making new foundations? Please be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video and found it entertaining, please give it a thumbs up and share. I love it when you share my videos. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss my next video. Thanks so much for watching.